Hello everyone, some Survivor gameplay from Dead by Daylight, playing in the Wrecker's Yard here. A great map against most killers, but as soon as I hear the nurse, this map's really as good as any map really. Pallet looping the nurse, it's no good. You want to forget about trying to pallet loop or try and stun the nurse with pallets, because she just teleports through the pallets. I like an open space map. I like the nurse's home map, which is Crota's Praying. There's loads of open space there. All nurses like to get their blinks off, and I feel confident against most nurses juking the blink, because the nurse is the slowest killer in the game. It's because she can make up so much ground with those blinks. That's why they make her the slowest. I think it would be fair if they made the blinks less accurate and give her a little bit more speed. Because I have played against many nurses and they just couldn't land their blinks, and what they did then is, because I'm always out in open, if you're in around like jungle gyms or pallets, and you really need to brake right or left at times, and you run into obstacles, and I just like to get out into the open. And many nurses, after they miss so many blinks, they just start to hunt you down on foot then. And that's then when the nurse is slowest killer in the game, but still quicker than a survivor. A real tough killer to use. The worst killer in the game, and anyone that can really use the blinks really well, or credit to them, because it's a real tough job. It's the nurse definitely is the worst killer in the game. I bet most people that uses the nurse is just doing a challenge or whatever. I've come up against some experienced nurses, and after you've juked their blinks so many times, they start to catch on. They start to they predict your movements, that you'll see the way I juke the nurse here. Whenever the nurse is charging the blink, well, I would turn and run straight towards the nurse, and she just flies by me, and then she's got a second blink and she charges and she wants to go back the ways, and then I just turn and run straight towards her again. But after a while, a good nurse starts to figure out your movements and starts to shorten up the blinks, knowing that you're going to run towards the nurse. Then it gets a lot harder. Sometimes then, as a survivor, then you have to pretend you're running past her, but then you stop. It's real 50-50 then, and it's the guessing game for both the nurse and the survivor. I see a lot of survivors, when the nurse is chasing them, that they don't look behind them, they just keep running. But you can hear the nurse charging or blink, and then you can hear the nurse moving with her blink. As soon as you hear that blink moving, that's when I turn and run towards her. But a lot of nurses have figured that out, so you start mixing up your game then. You start like feinting like left and then turn right, and it's really tough for the nurse to land a blink. There's loads of maps there where the nurse will own you. Loads of, like Auto Haven Wreckers, it's really not the best map for juking the nurse. I like the shelter woods or Crotus Prent, somewhere where there's lots of open space. You see in the nurse here, we've got 3 gens done, and there's only been a couple of people hooked really. The first killer I've ranked up when I first got this game was the nurse. I don't know why I thought the nurse was a killer that I should be ranking up first. Once I started using the nurse, I was terrible. And I just, anytime I get a challenge now with the nurse, I just abandon that challenge. I wouldn't even play the nurse. I'm that bad at nurse that even when I get a challenge to blink and hit 3 people, I even struggle to do that. Anytime I play against nurse now, I'm looking for totems here, because I always expect the nurse to have known escapes death. It's really tough work playing against the nurse. I always run small game now, and yeah, I heard the nurse blinking there, and I ran towards her, and then she lost me. And once you play enough against the nurse, you'll figure out. You'll hear her charging that blink, and that's when they turn. Because wherever she's aiming, that's where that blink's going. And once you hear her charging there now, and she done a short one there. And I'm staying out in the open here. And now she's going to go for a long blink. I heard that. That's real tough strategy. It's real tough for the nurse when you apply that strategy. I've got owned by many nurses. You can always make a mistake or bump into an obstacle, or if the nurse starts to predict your movements and shortens up the blinks, well, it can get difficult then. But more nurses than enough. This here strategy of turning and running towards the nurse, it's really successful. I bet 90% of the people who plays this game, they don't like the nurse. When the nurse misses her blink, she gets fatigued and her head beats down, and she has limited vision. But she's predicting me here now to go for the finish line, and I know that she's going to zoom in there. Whenever you hear that blink charging, and you hear that blink, her on her travels, then turn and just go the opposite direction where she came from. Now that nurse is fatigued at the exit gate there, and that nurse really has trouble making up the ground to catch me again. It's a real good strategy, and I don't see all survivors doing it. I'll try and upload another video if I get it of the nurse. Maybe at a bit higher ranks. I'm not saying that's a bad nurse or anything like that, but even at the high ranks, juke so many nurses like that there, it's the best way to go against the nurse. If you run around pallets, that nurse is just going to teleport through a pallet and just put you down. And running in behind objects, like going through the killer shack or in the jungle gym, so the nurse can just teleport through walls.